So hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining this conversation. We're going to talk a little bit about what it is and what it takes to pitch Nelvana. Both of us here have had a lot of experience in pitching in different ways. I want to thank the Lightbox Expo for organizing this and having us a part of this organization. We're really pleased to take part for the first time and look forward to doing more together. So I'm Athena Georgaklis. I'm the head of development at Nelvana, and I'm here with.
I'm Marc Hartlen. I'm the development coordinator for Nelvana. One of
much more than coordinator, because you, Marc, receive all the pitches that we review. You're the first person people meet most of the time, so pretty much our ambassador of pitches.
That's true. We do receive hundreds. I would even say 300 to 400 pitches a year from people. So we do receive a lot of pitches. I see a lot of different pitches.
And I think I'll just give a little bit of a background as to who Nelvana is for those who don't know. We are an animation studio based in Toronto, Canada. We've been around for 50 years, which is a milestone in itself. And if you grew up watching cartoons from a very young age as a preschooler all the way through to your young adulthood, you most likely have seen at least one, if not more, Nelvana shows along the way. We're not only an animation studio that employs about 300 people, we're also a distribution company and a licensing and merchandising company. So we understand the whole aspect of the business, every facet of kids entertainment in animation and live action. We have a show in production, live action, 2 of them actually, that we're really proud of. Miss Persona preschool show and Hardy Boys, which is a kids and family show. And beyond that, we operate within Chorus Entertainment, and Chorus is one of the leading broadcasters in Canada that operates multiple networks, including some of the kids networks that we produce for. So we are the studio to Treehouse, Teletoon, and YTV in Canada. They support us in development and in production, and then we take the shows that we produce for them and bring them to the global stage. So that's us. Okay, Marc, do you want to? Actually, I'll give 2 minutes again. I'll take some time of what we're looking for before I throw it over to you, because I think that if you understand the networks that we operate for, you then would know that we our age range, our demographic is so wide. So Treehouse, which is Canada's leading preschool network, operates for preschoolers 2 to 5. And then Teletoon and YTV go into the kids and family space. So we develop content for as young as 2-year-olds to as old as 12-year-olds in animation. And then we also develop a small slate of grown-up content. So primetime animated comedies. Our biggest priority is preschool, and preschool ranges for us, it ranges from 2 to 5 and 4 to 7. That is the upper preschool spot that is really important in content development right now. If anyone knows and understands or is around kids, you know that a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old are very different. And so we want to make sure that we're making content that's appropriate and exciting for a 3-year-old, and then content that's also geared to the 5 and 6-year-old before they're ready to go to the bigger, a little more sophisticated content for 6 to 11-year-olds. So if preschool is our top priority, I think our second is the 6 to 11 space. And I would say 50% of our content is in the preschool space, and then we start to break it down by 6 to 11 animation, primetime comedy, live action, and we are dabbling in unscripted right now. We're just dipping our toes into that, We don't know if we're going to get anywhere, but we're trying some concepts at this point. But the order of priority is as I've kind of described it. So I'd love to throw it over to you, Mark. Before I talk about whether or not people should connect to distributor or producer, I'd love for you to start maybe with the materials.
Yeah, I'd love to. I'd also just love to add to your last comment about, so people are always asking me what we need right now. And if I tell you what we need right now, and then you go back and write something and bring it to us 3 months later, things have changed. Like the industry changes so quickly. So we're always trying to fill that white space. So when people ask what we're looking for, we're kind of looking for a little bit of everything, preschool mainly, but there's no idea that I won't look at or even take a look at. So
That's right. And I think the one thing I would say we are not looking for that helps is anything overtly educational. So we don't do content that is really for an educational platform because our networks don't have that platform.
and I guess feature films, we should say too. We don't.
Yeah. Well, features are another beast altogether. So yeah.
But I'll still look at it. I'll pretty much look at anything. So I guess I want to start breaking down basically what a pitch, like the process of how do you pitch to Nelvana. It kind of just starts with reaching out to me. My email will be at the end of this presentation, but basically you reach out and either we send materials to me, and it's pretty much like during a real presentation, one-on-one, well, in a digital world, we're going to want to bring a deck that's mostly visual. There's nothing that throws me off more than reading something as someone's saying it out loud. Like it wants to be more of a conversational pitch. It really adds to it, because really you could send me like a script, cold call me with a script. I don't really have time to read 50 scripts. So an elevator pitch in a really concise pitch deck will make me want to come back for more extra materials, which would be like a Bible and a script and any other extra materials you have. So like when you're coming into the pitch right away, you want like just as I said, like a one pitch deck and then a follow-up presentation deck with more visuals, more words, kind of explaining it, but always be prepared to have a really big Bible when we really want to get into if I really am interested in the idea and I want to share it with our larger team, I want the nitty gritty, the real details, and that will be in the script and in the Bible and in any visuals you might have to add, like any initial creative. So people sometimes ask me, like, what's the proper length for a deck? And it's kind of like, you might want to have more than one version of your deck out there to share in an initial pitch, smaller, more visual, more conversational. If you're just sending it to me to read, maybe a little more in the middle with some like a smaller version of a mini Bible, you might say, and then have those big materials for me afterwards when we really want to get into it. Also, just even though you're sending us and talking about a small portion of the show or series or concept, have an answer for everything. There's, when I ask, like, what would the character act like in this situation? You say, I've never thought about that. Make sure you've thought about every angle and have every answer, because we want someone that's super confident and knows this idea front to back. We're looking for a creator to really understand we're looking for creator-driven series and content. So we don't want to be, we want to help guide you, but we're not looking to take your idea and make it ours. We want the voice behind the content. So make sure you're very confident and you know the origin story, where it came from, where it's going, what season 3 might look like. You don't have to really have that written down and tell me in a pitch, but be prepared to have me ask that, and you have the answer to it. And the pitch can be, I'll say even here, like it's just Athena and I talking, but it would be great to be in person talking to you and really getting to see your faces, but we are not living in that world right now. So what you could really do is make sure you rehearse, what you're going to say. You have a deck in front of you, like you've rehearsed even in the mirror. I know that's sometimes silly, but really just knowing what you're going to say can be extremely helpful, and makes it look like you've put the work in, and it's not just an idea you thought of as you woke up this morning over your breakfast.
That is such a good point. And then I would say we're people too. Like we're not here to, we're open to hearing your ideas, hearing your stories. We're all, the whole team at Nelvana in development, so passionate about content. We love to talk about content. And I would say for those who get a little nervous pitching, even through Zoom or in person, just try to relax. It is a conversation. I think you said that, Mark. It is a conversation about content. You're telling us a story. And I think that that is the most important thing to remember, that the story is that you have 10 or 15 minutes to just bring us into the world that you've created, and rehearsing it so it doesn't feel overly rehearsed, but you're very comfortable in telling that story, that you know that story better than anyone, is a really interesting and important point. And so I was a buyer before I was in development, and as a buyer for Teletoon, I was like, it's the most privileged position to have, because we would just take pitches all day and then work on the things that we put into development or into production. The work was so rewarding, but I've probably seen more pitches than a lot of people, because I was in that role for a very long time. And I think the most memorable pitches that I received were ones that were where the person pitching it was just as knowledgeable and passionate about the content as I would expect them to be. And then when we say know your show, I know how hard that might be sometimes. It's really, we challenge ourselves in development to determine, to find the log line of something. If we're developing something, it was like, what is it really about? And finding that log line can sometimes be very simple because it started there, and sometimes can be very difficult because it's buried in a lot of plot and character. And so when you get to the root of it, and this is what the philosophical angle is about your show, that is very a great way to start. And if you've gotten there, you're ahead of most people. I think half the pitches we get don't have that log line yet. And the people pitching don't know what it is. And I, we too in development, Mark, what we struggle sometimes. Sometimes it's so clear, and sometimes it isn't. So, if I can, I'm just going to use one of my favorite pitches that I had ever received, was from the team at Nelvana at the time. Tom McGillis and Jennifer Perch were pitching 16, and they came in and just blatantly said, this is a show about firsts. The first time you're away from your parents, the first time, your first part-time job, your first kiss, and basically all those first moments that that give you these characters a sense of freedom. And I thought that was brilliant, and it was so clear. And then the show itself was so clear for 7 seasons. So I would put as much time on what your show is about as you need to be able to describe that. Um, and then, because I've been on the buyer side, and if your goal is to eventually pitch a buyer, a network, whether it's a linear network or an SVOD, I I think it's important that you align yourself with a studio or a distributor, because the buyers need to see something more or less polished. I mean, it doesn't have to be fully polished, but it needs to be polished enough so that you can get in and in 10 minutes really describe the show, and pitch the show in an efficient way. And studios can help you get there. So, although there are SVODs and that are operating as studios now, so they're happy to see pitches at very early stages. But if networks traditionally would see a pitch that has been developed already, and that's what we do. We either create our own IP in-house, or we option ideas from creators, and help really hone in on that idea so we prepare it to pitch to the broadcaster. Mark, you said creator driven. Absolutely, creator driven is the key of everything. I think if there's a secret sauce and great content, is that there's a visionary behind it. And that visionary has been able to stay and be a part of the show the whole way through. And so we want to support that. If there is a content creator who comes to us and we believe in their idea, we do everything we can to staff that development property to surround that content creator with everything that she or he will need to make this show happen. That is our goal.
Yeah, yeah, you nailed it there. I feel the same way about everything you just said. It's like I often say that everyone has an idea about dogs from space. There's every idea is already out there, every concise, but we're not looking to buy that idea from you. We really want the voice behind it. What makes your show about a dog from space unique is your voice. It's so the Odyssey has been around for thousands of years. Like we already have heard all the stories that are really the human condition and really things we connect to, but it's your voice that's going to make it unique. And that's what the world is looking for, is more unique content that we can all relate to. We talk a lot about heart, like where is the heart? And your 16 pitch, Athena, it sounds like you really connected to that because you remembered that and it was concise. And that's such a great sell. And they are also, I want to bring it back to your, about what sort of pitch. People ask me again, like, at what stage should I pitch it? Should it be polished? Should I already have a producer? Do I need designs? And that passion we're looking for is just lean into what you're good at. If you're a designer and you're not really a writer, but you have an idea, show us a lot of the designs, or look for a writer and then have someone help you. Don't try and do it all by yourself. We certainly can't do it either. We want to elevate your idea and get it to a point where we can sell it to broadcasters. But I look at pitches from all different sizes, from like the very beginning, that they're just sort of an idea someone's pitching to me, or later on a little like much more polished, or something you're working on. It's sometimes you might have a really great idea, or you might not have a great, like, the idea yet, but just pitching me, getting to know me and starting a relationship so I can see your next idea. You're more comfortable next time you see me. Maybe this idea is not the right idea, but getting in front of us and just getting to know us can really be a huge asset.
Well, absolutely. That's such a good point, because the pitch, we as at the studio level, so Nelvana or any other animation studio looking for content to develop, we want to get in at the as early as we can. It doesn't mean we wouldn't get in later, but you can come to us the first time with just a seed of an idea and talk to Mark and get those thoughts, and then move on to something a little more robust and come back. We don't need designs to strike a development deal with someone, because we can bring that. So if we have a writer coming to us with a really wonderful idea and we option that idea, then we bring the design side, and vice versa. To your point, if there's a great design with a super interesting character and hook, we can bring the writing side. So there's, because you're talking to a studio, you can come in at a very early stage and just start that relationship. But it is important to get to know who we are, and for us, who you are. We're just one development team in one studio. There are a multitude of other studios who have development people. Find out who they are and reach out and start a conversation and a relationship with them. It'll be fruitful for you.
Yeah. And that's a transition to that is being knowledgeable about what Nelvana does and who we are. People come in, I see people come in blindly. They tell me they don't watch TV. They don't know what our studio is. That's a red flag right away. I want you to know that you've at least given us a quick look online, and you know what the content we're putting out right now is. You know the kind of content that's on television right now. If you're pitching me a show about dogs patrolling things, or an uncle and his grandfather going on space adventures, I want you to know that there's other shows like that already out there. Make sure you put the work in and that you're passionate about it, uh, because animation is a long-term relationship. We don't just green light an idea and then have it made next week. It's going to be a few years of us working together, even just in development, even before it even gets started. So we want to make sure that it's going to be a fruitful for both of us, and it's the right fit. Not every idea is right for Nelvana. I see a lot of great ideas that I say, I'm sorry, it's just not what we're looking for, but don't give up on it. Keep working on it.
That's so true. And the timing thing you mentioned earlier, we might be looking for something today and it changes. And for the studio, for us, yeah, we're broad, so we can look at other things, but we pitch to broadcasters and that tends to change every 6 months. So if you have something that you pitched a while back that nobody was really interested in, but you really believe in, and you want to bring it back out, dust it off, bring it back out again, because you want to get the opinion on whether or not, the timing is right for that, today, if it wasn't right a year ago. And then the other comment I want to make about homework is, know your audience. Like, there is, aside from knowing who you're pitching to, which is so important, and then when you're ready to pitch to the broadcaster, we would make sure that we know exactly what they're looking for, because we have those relationships with them and we meet with them on a regular basis. So we wouldn't throw a pitch or your pitch into Cartoon Network, for example, if it didn't fit what their needs are, right? We wouldn't kind of make that mistake. So that will work when you're partnered with a studio or a distributor. But knowing your audience, I think, is almost probably just as important, if not more. Kids' audiences have changed, and like we all have, especially in the last 18 months. But understanding what kids love to do, how they spend their time, what they watch, what they play, video games, is really important. If you're targeting an 8-year-old boy, and you need to know that 8-year-old boys are specifically spending a lot of time on certain, console games. And if that's the case, just understanding that and respecting that that is where they want to spend their time, because it gives them something different than what they watch on television, or whatever on Netflix, then we'll all be better for it. So understanding your audience is really important. And I always go in, if I get a pitch, and the first thing I hear is everything on TV today sucks, I'll be like, yeah, I don't know that I want to hear you pitch, because it's not true. There's amazing stuff for kids out there, and they watch it because it provides them something really valuable. We need to understand what that is and respect it.
There's never been more content than right now. I mean, when I was a kid, I think I had 7 channels and I was watching whatever cartoon was in front of me because I loved cartoons. But a 3-year-old now, if they don't like a show, they'll just say, I don't want to watch this. And there's hundreds of other options. So it's things are becoming not only are we being able to see more, but we're also getting smarter, and so are there our kids about what content is. So yeah.
Right.
I also, sorry,
I say developmentally kids don't change. I mean, they follow, but their consumption of media has evolved, and you'll see the shows that we may have worked on 15 years ago, for a 6 to 9 audience. For example, a show I loved working on when I was on the broadcast side was Atomic Betty. And I remember developing it and then producing and into production. And we worked with Atomic Cartoons at the time. And it was specifically made for 6 to 9 audience. That show today would be for a younger audience. It just doesn't. Kids at 6 to that age group, 6 to 9 age group, have really evolved onto something a little more sophisticated than what they would watch 15 or 20 years ago. So it is very important to understand that too.
And we're chasing the trends too. People think we have all the answers, but if you see like an article that says unicorns are hot, they've already been hot for a while. Like we are also always, I'm always looking for like what are kids really enjoying, because um yeah, things will just trade suddenly, the next big thing's out, and everyone wants it to be ours. If there was a formula for what we wanted, we would be handing it out like candy to everybody.
That's
But
right.
you just never know what's gonna blow up. So also, Nelvana is, you might have a really niche idea that's incredibly creative and so unique, but at the end of the day, we are, Nelvana and Chorus are a big company with a lot of mouths to feed. We have our license and merchandising team and our broadcasters, and we need to place it on TV. So uh, I would love to make a really alternative, unique, standalone short, but we know that Nelvana is, we need to make profit. This is a business. So
Yeah.
I might think your idea is super cool and I would love to see it at an indie theater, but we are not that company. So know
Mhm.
that your idea needs to have massive, we want ideas to have mass appeal, and you should want that too. I mean, it's cool to have a cool idea, but we do need to put it on broadcast TV, and we need support from other parts of our company. Um,
That's right.
but that comes with knowing Nelvana and what our needs are.
Yeah, and brands, building a brand based on your idea is the ultimate goal. A brand that will evolve from multiple seasons of, hopefully, of programming to either video games or toys or apparel or whatnot. That brand extension is where the business of kids programming, kids television really thrives. And Canada has had so much success in this space over the last 50 years. Nelvana has been there really to at the forefront of it, and then all these other fantastic studios have grown into huge successes. And I mean, Paw Patrol is the biggest brand in the world for preschoolers right now, and that came from a wonderful Canadian studio and company. So we have a lot to be proud of as an industry, and I know there's a lot of people watching who are not from Canada, but you need to know that the industry, the kids television programming development animation industry here is so well is so foundational in this business, and we're happy to take pitches from anyone around the world because we know the global business that it takes to build. Um, One of the things I'd love to talk about real quick, and that is the kind of the pitch itself. Mark, I'll just jump into that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can come to us first, or if your pitch is more polished and you decide to go, when I say us, I mean studios, not just Nelvana, but if you decide to go straight to a broadcaster and you've had a chance to meet with someone and you know who to pitch to, and just broadcasters love getting pitches, and they have multiple people who can take pitches anytime during the year. I would say keep a few things in mind. And this is from my experience as a broadcaster and now as the person pitching. um, Decide who you're going to bring to the pitch. Sometimes it's just you, and sometimes you may want to bring somebody else who's been a part of the pitch. Just try to make sure the people in the pitch on your behalf are there for a reason. And what I tended to see a lot is sometimes way too many people coming to a pitch when only one or two people are talking. You have to consider that. Um, don't pitch too many ideas at once. I know, you kind of, I get that way too. You find time with someone, you're like, I want your ear for a half hour and I have 10 things to talk to you about. It's too much. Really focus on the most important concept. And if at best, like if you want to talk about two concepts, that's fine. If you've got things in your back pocket, so before you start, just start a conversation. Ask the buyer, if you haven't had a chance to do that before, what they're looking for, because they may say they want something completely different than what you're pitching, which is a little annoying. But if that does happen, at least you can acknowledge, okay, well, this is something a little different. I hope I can still, submit it. But let's say you have something else that you've been noodling, that is a good fit, the thing that they're looking for at the moment. Then you can just say, okay, I've also been thinking about something else. Can I just talk to you about it? And they will happily have that conversation with you. And then you can follow up with the pitch later. So keep that in mind. Don't start right away pitching. Give yourself a breather. Get to know the person you're pitching to for a little bit, and then don't pitch for more than 10 to 15 minutes max. If you've got a half an hour with somebody, 5 minutes to get to know them, 10 to 15 minutes to pitch, and then a little bit of back and forth. And this is always important when you're pitching a broadcaster. We do Zoom calls all the time. It's hard to stay focused on Zoom for half an hour if you're pitching for a half an hour. It's different when you're in person. So keep that in mind. And then send the creative materials as soon as you're done, but follow up after a few weeks. We're all very busy. Buyers are very busy. Don't take it personally. They don't get back to you right away. Sometimes they need a nice kind of polite nudge, but don't, be polite. It's just hard for everyone to kind of get on top of all of it. And then if a buyer does come back to you and they give you feedback in that email or phone call, great, take it. If they don't give you feedback, that's okay. Again, they have so much that they do. They may not have the time to give you feedback. So you can always say, oh, is there any specific feedback? But, again, don't be surprised if they say no. But that's on the buyer side. So Mark, you already talked about what to bring to the pitch. Is there anything you want to say on the studio side that you haven't already said?
Well, I like to just talk about, the people that are responding, that are taking your emails in. It's me. I would love to just say, like, what happens after the pitch? Because so you've reached out to the head of development, and then you get me in the meeting, and I'm taking your pitch, and then you followed up with your materials, and you're looking for feedback. It's been a month or two, and I haven't gotten back to you, which is, I am overwhelmed with responding to everyone. I want to give everyone proper feedback, but it's never personal. It's just that there is a lot going on, and your idea, your concept, I have looked at it, like I am the first person to see it, but there is a team of people above me, as Athena and others at Nelvana, that are all, we do a review of everything, and it can take time to get it. It is very difficult to get everybody in a room sometimes to look at projects. So be patient is what I would really recommend. It's okay to nudge me, but I certainly, like, I can't speak on behalf of everybody. I can't speak on behalf of the broadcasters or the apparel team. They have to weigh in before I'm able to give you proper feedback. And yeah, patience. We're a big. We have a lot of moving parts, and it can take some time. And that's one thing I see a lot of is me having to say, I'm sorry, it's going to be a little while longer. So just understand that it's not personal. It's just a lot of emails.
Yeah. And we do get a lot of pitches. And then we are also developing a lot of things, so we're busy. If I could just say that, in addition to what you've just said, I too was a coordinator and an assistant and then a coordinator, and and I met a lot of content creators back in the day, because like you, Mark, I was the first person they would kind of see or meet or hear from. If you're talking to anyone at a studio, assistant, coordinator, manager, head of development, understand that they are all part of the same team. So if you're pitching Mark, Mark is representing all of us, and the same for anyone else you might be pitching in another studio. Get to know those teams, because they evolve and they grow into other positions, bigger positions. And so, finding relationships with people at every level of a studio and a development team is, I think, is a smart thing to do. I remember often people just trying to step over me to go to my boss, hoping that that would give a different outcome. It never did. It just ended up annoying me or my boss. So I would say, know that whoever you're talking to does represent that whole team, and it just takes time. And I know it's frustrating because I'm on that side too. We pitch buyers, and it takes weeks, months sometimes to hear from them. So it's just the nature of this business. Um, there's one other thing I think I would also say, because I know I said, and this is me not thinking linear here. When I said about the project that you might have that's dust it off and bring it back. I think one thing I would add to that, though, is if you've been developing something for 12 years and no one has picked it up yet and you've pitched it, just put it aside. Try not to spend, I guess the point I'm trying to make, try not to spend 12 years on one thing. Keep turning out ideas and thinking about your audience and thinking about the people you're pitching to. And don't get too invested on one idea if that has not really resonated with anyone yet. It's a hard thing to do. I have to remind myself of it, and the team often reminds me of it. But it's just a healthier way to develop content.
Yeah, I can really relate to that. Just even my like just in all aspects of life is sometimes you're only as good as your next idea. So if you've just got this one dream project that you just want to get this one idea and it's not getting made, it's okay to do other things. You're a creator. You're creative. You have lots of creative ideas. Try other things. Like, it's great to be well-rounded. Maybe a bunch of experience will help you come back to the idea and change it into something else. Or maybe you just have to be honest and say, this isn't what people want right now. But yeah, if you've just got, if we've already passed on something and you're coming back like a year later with a revised Bible, the chances are, sadly, that it's probably still not going to work. And we see so much, like, something that's hard was hard for me when I started development was how many of our ideas don't make it all the way. Like, you got to be prepared for a little bit of heartbreak in this business. Like, even just getting, even in development, we have plants die. Like, we water everything as much as we can, but be prepared for things not to work out, and have something else. So that back pocket idea might be ready to go, but yeah, just don't put all your eggs in one basket and come at me like, I have a meeting with me where you're like, this is all I've ever wanted to do, because I hate telling people no to that idea. It's hard. I don't want to be the bringer of bad news, but yeah, be confident that you're a creator and you've got ideas. And one other thing I want to say, I know we're wrapping up, is know that we want you to succeed. We're not going into meetings with our arms crossed looking for you to fail. Like, we all want you to succeed, and we want to love the idea. So you don't have to be nervous. Like, we want you just to be your very best. And if you stutter or if you're feeling uncomfortable, like, I understand completely how awkward it is to meet somebody and tell them about your passion project. But just know we're there on the other side of the room. We're smiling because I love seeing content. That's why I'm here. And we don't want to say no, but it's just part of the business. So know that we want you to succeed. I can't say it another way.
Yeah, that's really a great way to end it. I think remember to really know your show, not to bring a whole Bible to a pitch, especially if you're going to throw something up on the screen and you're going to walk them through it. So two couple versions of a pitch. That's one more presentation and the other more content is important. And I think you know, when I first pitched a buyer after I left the cushy broadcaster job to go into development, I was terrified, terrified. And then after it's been 6 years now on this job, I slowly started getting less terrified because it's just practice, right? The rehearsal and the practice helps, but I still get nervous before a pitch. And even if I pitch that show 25 times, I still get nervous, and that's okay. So I just remember that you're pitching another human being who loves content. That's why they're doing what they do. So to your point, Mark, try not to be too nervous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Great.
great.
I think that's it from us.
Yeah, great to do this, Mark. I enjoyed that. You're gonna put your email up and people can reach out.
Yes, yeah, my email should be up after this, but you can find me. I'm out there. You should be able to reach out, and I look forward to seeing any pitches that you have.
Great.
And
Thanks, everyone.
thanks for joining us.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.